Hey everyone, how you doing? It's your boy Shaheener coming at you with another episode of the Pokemon Babblers podcast. As always, joined by my co-host Bano over here.
Hey guys, this time I'm, in my midnight club apartment looking down on these fools from the city above.
It looks like you're in what is it? Where's the city in Cyberpunk?
Night City?
Yeah, it looks like you're in Night City almost. I mean, as a
Oh,
person who's
dude.
never played,
Yeah, if I was in Night City, oh, man, it'd be awesome.
which
And scary at the same time.
I was gonna say, would that really be awesome? It sounds like it'd be kind of stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least you're not like hanging around Johnny Mnemonic or no. What's Keanu Reeves' character in that game?
Johnny Silverhand.
Yeah,
You're
Johnny
close.
Silverhand. Yeah,
50%.
it's basically the same thing. But yeah, so this episode is episode number 16 of season 2. We're going to be talking about, well, the last original game that they had in the Mystery Dungeon series, or the latest one, which is Gates to Infinity. Because, of course, they had Mystery Dungeon, the Rescue Team DX on the Switch, but that was just a remake of the first game. So this is like the last original game, I think, that we got. And so this came out on the 3DS. So in Japan, came out November 23rd of 2012. In North America, March 24th of 2013. In Europe on May 17th of 2013. And then Australia, May 18th of 2013. So this one was, of course, developed by Pokemon Company and Spike Chunsoft, as they've done all the other ones. And this one has quite a bit different in it compared to the other Mystery Dungeon games. There's a whole bunch that's different. Bono, have you played this one?
Yeah, I think we bought it. Or at least me and Joe bought it, and we were playing it at Dickie's.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, because I definitely did not play this one, but I watched quite a bit of gameplay before this. So, yeah. So at least, obviously, with this one being on the 3DS, so there's 3D gameplay and depth perception are implemented via the 3D capabilities of the 3DS, and there's also AR functionality as well. So basically, if you move your 3DS camera to something that's like circular, it'll turn it into a dungeon, and then you could actually like traverse that dungeon. So like, let's say like a bottle cap, for example, like I could literally have this over here, scan it with my 3DS, and then that's a dungeon. Or because I think that because I was reading and Wadham asked about this, and they interviewed Ishihara, the Pokemon Company CEO, about like using AR capabilities for the game, and he was like, well, we always want to do that from the beginning, but with this one, he's like, oh, well, what if you're like walking around and you see like a manhole cover, and you scan the 3DS, and it's like, oh, what strong Pokemon are going to be in that sewer? So that way it just makes it more interactive, which, I mean, is a cool concept. I don't know how many people actually did that, but, I mean, it sounds pretty dope. Yeah, basically it turns into what they call a Magna Gate. So it leads an infinite labyrinth of dungeons to be explored. So the moves now have a ranking system where the power, accuracy, and max power points at PP will improve with each rank up. It's funny. I'm just going to stop right there because I always intentionally say PowerPoints now, because if I say PP, I feel like somebody's gonna make a joke about it.
I got my PP up.
Yeah, it's like, hey girl, I got my PP up. So the belly or hunger is absent from this game now, or at least from most of the dungeons.
Absent.
Yeah, it's absent, and so
Cool.
it shows up again in the final 3 dungeons of the post game. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so it's,
not
I guess it's more of like
completely
a
lost.
challenge kind of thing. Yeah, but it's like, yeah, they totally redid this game. So if you lose in a dungeon, there are fewer items that are lost, and none of your currency is lost either. So it makes it easy for newcomers.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
it's was like one of the most like debilitating things is that if you lost, there was no guessing as to how much stuff you'd lose,
Yeah.
and it was never like you lost half your money. I'm pretty sure it was you lost all your money.
Oh, yeah, and that's brutal too. I mean, yeah, you could store it all in the bank, but then it's like, yeah, what if you're like trying to get like you have some money with you that you forgot to deposit, and then you die and then you lose all of it? That would suck. So yeah, it's nice that they made it a little bit more lenient. Also, the recruited Pokemon and partner Pokemon that aren't brought into a dungeon still receive experience when the player completes dungeons. So
That's a godsend. I don't know if that's in DX or not. I don't know if they added that in there, but that's a godsend.
yeah, that's such a useful thing. I mean, if you think about it, like there's so many Pokemon you could recruit. Most of the Pokemon are from Gen 5 in this game, but I mean, still, there's so many to get. And so if you're only taking like a couple of them with you at a time, then the others are just going to be like doing nothing. And so, yeah, it's nice that they actually thought about that. And so they're allowing everybody to get experience. Also, it's not required now to complete a dungeon to recruit a new Pokemon, and they can be sent back once the team is full. Okay, so there's only 5 starter Pokemon in this game instead of like the millions of others that you have, so it's kind of limiting in that aspect. So obviously Pikachu, but there's also Unova starters, so Snivy, Tepig, and the other one, and then there's Axew as well. So
Smugly, Fire Bacon, and Water.
I don't acknowledge the last one because it's obviously inferior to Piplup. So yeah, so like I said before, the game primarily focuses on Gen 5 Pokemon, and there's only a handful of like the other generation. I think cumulatively it's like 31 Pokemon divided between the past 4 generations. So it's really focused on Gen 5. This game just came out like right after Black and White 2, so yeah, and then there's a total of 144 species of Pokemon that can be recruited. The gameplay is of course similar to the predecessors. So
It's a
it's
very
like
small amount considering
yeah.
how late we are into the generations.
Yeah, because there were 649 Pokemon as of the release of this game. So, it's very limiting. But also, there's all like the 3D models and stuff. And also, in a mystery dungeon game where the game isn't even that long, do you really want 650 Pokemon? Like, I could get it where you want everything in like a main series game, which they should. But yeah, when you're having like a spin-off game, you don't need every single one in there. Like, just get the ones that are cute enough or cool enough, and then just throw them in there. At least that's how I feel about it. Yeah, so it's basically the same stuff. So it's like you're a human turned Pokemon, and you must dungeon crawl to reach your objective. The Wonder Mail has also been simplified to a password system to redeem items, and there are a lot of passwords now. I remember I was looking at this one when I was making my notes. There's a lot for like items and food and TMs and scars and so many different accessories. There's so many passwords. Like they're all in Bulbapedia and stuff like that, but just so freaking many. I don't know if anybody's even gone through to get or to unlock all those passwords, but I feel like you'd be there for like an hour at least, just
Are
typing
they
in all the
region locked
passwords.
like the other
Yeah,
passwords that we've seen before? They are.
yeah, yeah. The passwords are all region locked and stuff. So, yeah, you just got to make sure you're using the right one. PAL, NTSCU, or NTSCJ. And then there's companion mode, which the game can temporarily switch to another recruited Pokemon as the main player. All items and money are carried over to story mode, and local wireless could be used here as well. Also, I think there's a Street Pass feature. I don't know if I put it in the notes over here, but yeah, there's also Street Pass that you could use too. So that way you could have Pokemon that end up being
So
recruited.
what does companion mode mean? That you can like switch to another recruited Pokemon as the main player?
Yeah, I think like in the same dungeon you could like switch over to another Pokemon if they're like somewhere else. I think,
Okay.
but yeah, I'd have to take a look at that one again.
Because I was like thinking about it. I was like, well, you can always have like changed the leader of your like which Pokemon you're playing as.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know what companion mode means. Like maybe you can, instead of doing the story, you could play as like a recruited Pokemon and do missions that way, or
Okay, so basically, companion mode is a sort of side mode that will become available after upgrading the Paradise for a bit, and this mode will allow you to play as one of your befriended Pokemon from Paradise and take on more requests and missions from the request board in Paradise. So, let's see. To be more specific, it's at the time or at any time when you're not in a dungeon, including at a rest area in the middle of one, you can access the menu and select companion mode. In this mode, you can select any of the Pokemon you have recruited and control them. You have full access to the entire Pokemon Paradise, but not the town. This is the only way to play as Pokemon other than your starter in the hub area. When in the Pokemon Paradise, you can participate in various missions, both standard and special, and build up the Pokemon Paradise. In standard missions, you have the ability to use other Pokemon you've recruited to join your team. All experiences counted for battles here, and any and all items can be put into your chest for use by your standard character, even accessible in a rest stop in the middle of a dungeon. So I guess it's kind of like you could switch to like other Pokemon that are in a, because there's like Post Town, which is like where your hub is, but then there's also the Paradise, which you're building up too. So there's other Pokemon in Paradise than there are in Post Town.
wow,
So
I
it
was
kinda
like surprised. I was like, I thought it would just be like every the games you could just like switch your main character, but I guess like they really want you to be your character in this one.
Yeah, definitely. And let's see, where was I? There we go. So also there's Team Attacks, which is a move that is acquired after gaining the Team Badge. And the power meter is built up as the player goes through a dungeon, and once it's built up, its power is significantly stronger than normal type move or the normal moves, and gives buffs to party members depending on the type of it.
Kind of like it almost. I don't know if they still kept the linking of moves, like how you could link together like flamethrower and slash or something like that. I wonder if that's like a replacement for it.
It's probably a replacement for it if I were to guess. It seems like that each game that they do is always like a different gimmick, and they'll just replace the other gimmick. And then, of course, I just briefly mentioned it, but Pokemon Paradise develops as the story progresses. So recruited Pokemon stay here with the exception of a few, like Virizion and a few others that work in Post Town. The land can be expanded here, and the player can play mini-games, rank up, and place facilities there. So that way you can have more Pokemon like working and living in the Paradise.
Mm-hmm. No, see, it's not slavery. They work for each other. They pay each other.
Yeah, it's all for the greater good. Yeah, we're all equal under the world of Paradise. So after completing the main story, the mysteriosity mechanic is added. So dungeons will now have a mystery rating from 1 to 5. The higher the number, the greater likelihood a mysterious distortion occurs. Some benefit the player.
What?
Yeah, space-time distortion. Huh?
Space-time distortion? Huh? What? Yeah. Did you hear a sound?
Whoa!
Can you just add in like a bunch of like the shiny like? Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, just like some like static here and there and stuff. Yeah, so some will benefit the player, others will make it more difficult. And then a couple random factoids. So this is the first mystery dungeon game to be released as just a single game, because every game up to this have all just been like the Red Rescue Team, Blue Rescue Team, or like Explorers of Time and Sky. Yeah, all that stuff. So this is the first one.
And Darkness. Let's not forget Darkness.
Imprisoning me?
Darkness.
So yeah, because also this was a thing that they addressed in the Iwata Asks as well, where Ishihara was saying like, we don't really need to make a separate game for this one, because it's like this is pretty much like the Ultimate Edition. This is like the definitive version. There's only so many things that could make it like worth it to make two different games, and this one isn't really like, you don't need to make two games. You can just do one and then make everybody happy.
Right. I think with this one, it's more or less that they finally decided to focus on a core story rather than, the gimmick of how we're going to split the Pokemon, what's specific to each version. And, it sucks that it happened with, like, I would say the last one, because we haven't had one in a while.
Yeah.
It seems like they finally got, like, their bearings on what this game could be, a tailored single-player experience with a prime selection of Pokemon, and also all these quality of life features like the experience being shared amongst all Pokemon, companion mode, the Paradise having all these facilities that you could put there and do stuff like that to benefit your Pokemon while they're not actively rescuing, coming up with procedurally generated dungeons on the fly using the AR mode and stuff like that. It really seems like they went all out and have like hit their stride, but it's just by this point I feel like the mystery dungeon like fan base had like either dried up, or B were like too high on Explorers of Sky to be like give it a chance, or
yeah, it's probably just a lot of burnout.
The other one.
Yeah, there's a lot of burnout. And also I think that with this one it got overlooked too, because like I feel like that it got very simplified, as we were kind of mentioning with some of the mechanics. And so, I mean, I feel like that those mechanic changes are great, but also it's like there's like these games, they've just been churning them out almost every other year. And so at this point, it's like, how many times could you do the same dungeon explorer and make it fresh and make it interesting? So I feel like that this one is like, fans liked it, but the critics hated it. And I feel like that's how most of the mystery dungeon games are. It's like the fan base will love those games. They eat them up, but then everybody else is like, this game is just, it's dookie. Why would you play this?
It's a rehash, or it's just not interesting, or not like difficult, or there's people just really don't understand like the appeal of it. So it's a very hard niche to get into. Plus I feel like the entire span of these games has like been maybe a decade or a decade and a half, like 15 years total.
Which, roughly, yeah. I mean, actually, well, the first Mystery Dungeon game came out in like 2006. And so this one came out in 2013, so that's about 7 years. And then there was the Mystery Dungeon GX. So I guess in a way, like 10, 15 years. But in terms of original story, is like 6 years.
Yeah, so it's definitely burnout. Same thing with Ranger. They just kept pumping out the games, to get people to buy them, when in reality it probably should have taken like every 3 or 4 years maybe.
Yeah,
To
exactly.
keep us, to keep us pumping us for what we're worth.
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, of course they're trying to milk us for all we got financially, but also I feel like you're not seeing too many of those kind of spin-off games on the Switch. I feel like that on the DS, like because there are so many people just like buying it, they just want a quick game, then they can make those spin-off games because it probably doesn't take that long to develop, and then it just takes people not that long to play it. And so, also another random factoid: this is the last game to be released only in English in North America, and so everything after that will be released. Where like when you start the game, there's like multiple language options.
Oh,
So yeah, this is the last one where it's just like when it came out in North America, it's just only English. Like there's no Spanish option or tradition or Japanese or anything like that.
was the first game like that? No, that was X and Y. That was
Yeah,
the
at
first
least
game, right?
yeah, because that was the first game main series that was released all on the same day. And so yeah, we got that only just a few months after this game.
Right. So it's like this game didn't even have time to breathe
Yeah,
before
exactly.
X and Y came out.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to let it cook. And so, yeah, basically that's pretty much all I have for like the actual game itself. But yeah, this was something where it seems like that, like, yeah, it just got overlooked. I think from how the fans just kind of at least just from burnout and all that stuff, like people just didn't pay attention to this one. And so it's like it's a good game from what I've heard, but it's definitely not the best, at least of the Mystery Dungeon games. Because obviously, as we talked about it, Explorers of Darkness, Time, Sky, whatever, is all the best. And so this is just kind of like, I think we've had enough of this.
Right.
Yeah. And so, yeah, pretty much with that, we could just go into the plot, which I have a really condensed version of it. So I don't know how far you got into the plot, but if you have anything to add
far.
in, okay.
Not very far.
Yeah.
I think I had a misunderstanding on terms of like mechanics on how it worked with befriending Pokemon, because I think I started the game and then like I don't know if it was like a story beat, but you got to like pair up with like a level 50 Salamence. And I think it was the wording that kind of misguided me because I was like reading it and then it said along the lines of like you can request help from these kinds of Pokemon, and I think it was like a graph of like all the Pokemon you could do because it was like you said there's only 144 of them. But it was like you can do that missions with them when they're available, and they're available at random times. And I was like, so there's like no difficulty because then I could just keep resetting the day until the Salamence is available, and then take it with me and go into a dungeon.
Yeah, I guess.
Right? Because I was like, why? Well, then what's the point?
Yeah, I don't think you can start with the Salamence or anything like that. But I think it's just like an example of what you can have.
What you can have. I think they might have like locked it or something like that afterwards. But like just that interaction, I was like, oh, I don't know about this. Plus, I think with like the graphics and stuff like that, it did really grab me. And I'm pretty sure by this point X and Y had already been revealed, so I might have been like, more inclined to wait for that than I would be to play this game.
Yeah.
I forgot. I was kind of like blanked when you said when did it come out?
This one came out in early of 2013. Yeah, it came out in March of 2013, and then X and Y came out in October.
Yeah, so this is like in a time where I was just like, I think I was pretty ready for X and Y.
Yeah, me too. I remember that too. Yeah, I was pretty stoked for that one, which we both just like played through recently. Like you're of course going through it, but I just finished up playing X and Y like the other day, and so yeah, those games definitely. I think those games definitely were underappreciated, but they should have had more content.
Yeah, I won't get into
like
it here.
post game content. Like, what do you mean? Yeah. We already did the episode for Babblers on that one. Which, if you want to check out, then the links can be down below.
I mean, it did have a post game in terms of like it had a whole side story with like Looker and the girl with the Esper. But yeah. It's just like the
like
repeatable
repeatable things to do, like a Battle Frontier.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the Battle Maison.
Yeah, Battle Maison was okay.
Battle Maison, you can rebattle gym leaders in the Battle Chateau, and then Friend Safari.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Friend Safari. Yeah, you definitely are familiar with that at this point now. Yeah.
I am very familiar. But yeah, it's good. It was great. But let's move on to Infinity Dungeon before we put another 20 minutes of conversation.
That's fine. It's a Babblers, so yeah. Okay, so basically, with this one, the plot starts with the player yet again waking up as a Pokemon, having a weird dream. They meet up with a partner Pokemon who intends on constructing a Pokemon paradise near Post Town. And they befriend several Pokemon during the process, including Dunsparce, Emolga, Virizion, Umbreon, and Espeon. And they later meet a Hydreigon, who is initially perceived to be as a villain due to him being in the player's dreams. But he reveals himself to be the physical embodiment of the voice of life, who brought the player and other humans in the Pokemon world to save it. And actually, there's like a Mona that you befriend earlier on, and that actually ends up being the enemy. So it's like things kind of got flipped. Like you kind of assume the Hydreigon is going to be the bad guy when it's really the good guy, and Muna was supposed to be the good guy when it's a bad guy.
Nice. I like that bait and switch. That's nice.
Yeah. And Kyurem later on confronts the player, the partner, and Hydreigon. He then destroys Hydreigon and severely wounds the player to stop them from destroying the Bitter Cold, which Bitter Cold is a presence created by the growing negative emotions of Pokemon, which is now a threat to destroy the world as he did with other human-turned Pokemon. So it's like it's a physical being. Like the negativity that you have is not only an emotion, but also manifests into a creature called Bitter Cold. And so it's like a lot of characters are starting to get like more negative and pessimistic, and that's growing to build Bitter Cold.
Right. They borrowed that from Warhammer. All your emotions become demons in the warp. I got it.
Okay, cool. As long as you conceptualize it.
All right.
Let's see. So later on, the group returns to rescue one of Kyurem's captives, which is Keldeo. They then defeat Kyurem and the Bitter Cold with the help of those in Paradise and Post Town. And Hydreigon is recovered afterward, and the group celebrates their victory. The player is then forced to return to the human world. And so that's basically where the main story kind of goes. And then this is like the post story, essentially. So the game focuses on the partner Pokemon after that. And Hydreigon finds a way for the player to return, but only after the partner traverses across the World Core dungeon and makes a wish for the player to return. And once they're at that point, the partner then realizes that their wish is kind of selfish, because like the human kind of has their life that they have to go back to, even though the partner wants them to stay. So then they change their wish so that the player can be freely able to cross dimensions between being a Pokemon and being a human.
Nice.
That's like the
nice.
very TLDR version of the story. I got that from Wiki because, of course, with Bulbapedia, it's literally like an essay of like the whole plot, like every minute detail is in there, and
Every story beat. Yeah.
it's literally every single possible thing. So if you want more of that, just check the Bulbapedia article.
Or
And
play
there's
the game.
Yeah, or just play the game, or honestly watch a review of the game. Like, there's a person I watched today, did like a 20-minute review. It's like the first one that you'll find. It was pretty cool. Let me actually look it up, because it was actually, I mean, it was a good review, and then actually, it kind of got into like that they were like starting to go on some other like tangent about other like negativity and stuff. Like they're using like the theme of negativity in this with like Bitter Cold to rant about like YouTuber drama, which was weird, I guess. Actually, yeah, that's where I lost the plot with that video. I was like, I can see where you're coming from a little.
You gotta get them likes, dude.
Yeah, I guess.
You gotta get them video clicks.
Yeah, if it bleeds, it reads.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, yeah, like I was saying before, this game just seems to be underappreciated overall. I mean, it's definitely not the best Mystery Dungeon game at all, but it's not as bad as people thought it was. And especially not as bad as critics thought it was.
Right.
I mean, I have not played it myself, so I don't really have that full opinion, but yeah, I think that's pretty much that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they did everything they could to make this one as good as it is, and I'm fairly certain it's a very good game and deserves to be played.
Yeah.
But by this point, it like the whole series had already like run its course.
Yeah, it's too little, too late, basically.
Too little, too late, right?
Yeah, so had they implemented a lot of those mechanics earlier on, I think that there'd probably be a little bit more longevity, or at least reviews would be higher. Especially, like, if you lose all your stuff in the dungeon and then you have to, like, build that back up again. I feel like had they fixed that, like they did in Gates to Infinity, then the other ones probably would have been reviewed a little bit better or perceived better.
I also realized this episode is literally the same length as Season 1.
Really?
Yeah, this is episode 16. Season 1's only 16 episodes.
Yeah, so we still got a few more in the pipeline as well. So it's like we're going to 20 episodes for this season. So we still got 4 more to do.
Right.
Which, basically, I mean, also, if you want to stay tuned to that, then don't forget to subscribe and all of that. Let us know what you think. But yeah, basically, the next episodes we got, so we're going to be doing, next episode will be on Pokken Tournament. Then after that will be about Super Mystery Dungeons. Actually, I forgot about that. So, yeah, sorry, there's another Mystery Dungeon game.
What was there?
Yes, super mystery dungeon.
I don't remember that one. All right.
Yeah, there's another mystery dungeon game. So yeah, people are probably gonna roast us in the comments on that one until they look at the ending. Then we got Pokemon Go, and then the last episode of the Babblers season will be Detective Pikachu and Detective Pikachu Returns.
Ah,
Yeah, that'll be the very
yes.
last episode for the season.
But also, I was trying to find our scores from Mystery Dungeon 1 and DX, but I
Mm-hmm.
just like can't find it.
Yeah.
So I'd like to give this game a rating. I'm pretty sure it's. See, that's the thing. That's why I want to see what the score was,
Yeah.
because I don't want to like say this, and then people are gonna go back and be like, "Well, you gave it original Mystery Dungeon this one."
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. One, neither of us really played the game, so like, could we really give it a fair rating? Two, nobody comments. At least as of right now. So, I mean,
It's true, but
like,
I'm gonna
if
say
if you want to roast us in the comments, and let us know. Like, tell us if there's any discrepancies.
I don't know. I can't see it, but I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say 7.
7 for
Seven
this one. For this one?
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds really
I
high.
feel like the XP thing really helps. If I'm thinking about it, like if it's still like Red Rescue Teams ish, like if you still need to level up Pokemon in order to get them to evolve, or if you could just befriend a Dragonite or befriend a Tyranitar, if that's the way it works, then this game probably deserves a 5. But if you have to
Yeah.
level up to evolve still, that just the XP mechanic alone is like crazy good.
I mean, if I were to just go on a rating like you did, where it's like I don't really have much firsthand with it, I'd probably give it like a 5.5.
5.5.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 5.5. Like,
Yeah,
not the best
for me,
game, not the worst game. It's just kind of mid.
Yeah, that's what it hinges on, because it seems like the rank thing is pretty good, because like some of the moves were less that how they worked in at least the Red Rescue Team were less about what they did and more about how powerful they were and what they were. Like Ember was great because it could you could fling it and you didn't have to worry about it, whereas moves like Scratch suck because you have to like walk up to a Pokemon and do it. But the problem there was that Ember only had so many usages, and the same thing because you always kind of wanted to have like a ranged attack more over than the physical one. So the fact that the ranking system now allows not only the power to go up but the PP to go up as well, is just like so much more better. Because before you were just like stuck with like, hey, you only have 16.
Yeah,
you know,
and your PP is up too. So I mean,
right. So if I could just like keep that and keep it going, and then just like keep continually ranking it up until I don't know, like 5, and get like an extra 5 attacks with that. That's a really good way to do it.
yeah,
The being the same Pokemon over and over and over again is kind of off putting. I don't know, maybe a 6. I'd go with a 6 then.
yeah. See, you're kind of talking yourself down from that because like 7 sounds really high. Like that sounds like a hey, this is a
7.
really good game. 7. You rate 7. 7's good.
Yeah, I'd say 6 because like
Okay.
being the same Pokemon is cool for story reasons. Like that was great, but I really did enjoy like being Entei or being Suicune after like I beat the game.
Yeah, and also another silly thing too, talked about like being the Pokemon or whatever, is that when you're picking your partner, you don't go through the personality quiz like you do the other ones. You just pick your starter.
Right.
It's just like it immediately is like you're the chosen one. Here, who are you? What do you look like? And then
Right.
just pick between the one of the 5 Pokemon.
I think they should keep the personality quiz and be like, you should be this, but then give you the choice.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like they did with Rescue Team DX and stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you all for listening, for watching. If you like what you saw, like I said before, don't forget to subscribe. Let us know what you think in the comments, if we did this game justice or we didn't. And if there's anything else that you want us to talk about, maybe post season 2, like maybe you could do
Right.
just like some like one-offs or anything. Yeah. Also, we've both been very active on Twitch lately, so if you want to check out our respective streams, the links are going to be in the description. So, yeah, both of us been
actively. I've
yeah,
actually been
Bono's
active
been
on
streaming
Twitch.
almost every single night since the beginning of the year. So,
Right.
like, check him out over there. Like, he's been doing a lot of shiny hunting, and so
Shiny
who knows?
hunting and chill.
Yeah, shiny hunting and chill. Who knows what he's going to be shiny hunting in February? Because right now he's been in Scarlet and Violet.
Yes. Who knows what game I'll be shiny hunting in next.
Yeah. So until then, we will see you all in the next episode. Peace.
Bye.